Hello and welcome to the show. We start this week's first episode on GTA 5 with Sancton driving the ramp truck that's had a little crash at an intersection. Now the ramp truck is a very big, very strong vehicle, can push just about anything out of its way. We've seen it get defeated by police cars. This time, though, it is even better. It's been defeated by a lamppost. The way it fell over, it's got wedged under the rear wheels, lifting the back of the truck up, because the big nose cone has basically got it beached. That is quite impressive, I must say. We go next on GT5 with FailRace. Now, they are heading to the end of a pier to collect something or other. Now, I believe this is in a van, and you're supposed to take out the driver of the van. So, AI coming towards them. They go to shoot said driver of the van. I think they get the kill. No, they don't actually. The driver keeps going. Climbs over a food stand and off the pier. I mean, they got away from being shot. They also managed to dunk the vehicle with all the stuff in it in the water and the player can't get it. I'd say that's a win for the AI. It's rare, but sometimes the AI do win, and that is definitely a win for them. Yeah, that did not go to plan whatsoever. Gotta love the AI ruining your day. And Nicole up next on Just Cause 3, going for some stunts with a truck. Now, on this game you have special abilities of your vehicle. This one has a bounce, a spring. They go to jump over an enemy vehicle. Thing is, it doesn't really jump as high as expected. The explosion then launches the already battered pickup truck a long way through the air. Yes, it's not quite... I mean, it's a cool stunt, not the one that was going for, but never mind. And Rico's going to fall off, and there's the explosion for good luck. Everything went to plan there as well, I think. We're on to Golden Rush next with Blaze, who is trying to load up a dump truck, I think, when the vehicles get a little bit connected. And as ever with these janky simulator games, it turns out big construction equipment getting together often pings around wildly. The dump truck ends up upside down, the digger ends up stuck. It's not going to be getting out of there anytime soon. The dump truck does amazingly land back on its wheels again, which is something. But it's a very stuck truck. Speaking of simulators, Phoenix Shark showing why you shouldn't go racing on snowy roads. No, it wasn't a good idea, and physics has got very angry. You see the lights spiral through the air as the truck comes crashing back down. I mean, the truck we're on board with gets away from that fairly well, but everybody else does not. McTenny up next on Call of Duty Warzone again, with another good example of why racing in games where racing was not necessarily the intended purpose is a little bit iffy. So we've got this sort of quad bike thing, and we've got another Land Rover looking thing going for a little bit of a race. They get connected, and the Land Rover falls over. Somehow in that collision it wasn't the buggy that falls over, it was the much, much larger vehicle. Because, sure, why not? Speaking of buggies in off-road racing, Oliver up next on gravel. He's in a race, tries to go around the outside of an AI vehicle. Everything is going okay, but there's a rock on the outside of the jump. Goes for almost a double roll, lands on the roof, gets deposited off of the AI vehicle, clips another rock, trying to gather it back up, and ends up in a ditch. It was a good attempt, just didn't realise there was a small rock on the outside of that corner. Things went wrong. Going wrong with racing again. We're on BeamNG.drive with a truck, kind of spewing all of its bodywork at a chasing Miramar. It's a shame the truck resets quite so quickly, but... the truck runs a little bit wide. I said a little bit wide. They probably didn't even think about the sort of branches of the tree. I think that's what it hits as it goes along here. But it hits the tree. It spews all of the back end of it into the path of the Miramar. That has no chance to slow down, no chance to avoid that. There's nothing you can do, and that is bye-bye to the sports car. I mean, the damage could have been worse, but it did lose a wheel in all of that. Douglas up next at very, very high speed on Beam here. We're talking almost 200 miles an hour racing here. When things go wrong at this kind of speed, they go wrong spectacularly. Clips a bank, it somehow manages to avoid all of the trees as it spirals wildly out of control and comes to a stop in a river. If that had hit a tree, that would have been unrecognisable as a car. Somehow it spiraled its way past all of the trees, and the river was a relatively sedate death if it was going to happen. Calvin Tola on Assetto Corsa trying to do some drifting, got things a little bit wrong, goes to reverse the Nissan, hits a curb and then falls over. Just the most sedate roll you can imagine, that one. But no more Nissan for you. Mike is up next on Project Cars 2 here, racing with a bunch of very, very fast prototype vehicles from various years. And Mercedes gets up the inside of all that, a little slow off the corner. It comes back across and everything gets connected, and Mercedes goes for a jump over. I'm actually quite sure. I think there's a Porsche on the outside. That's not quite how the overtake should be going. in order. The initial overtake, the initial setup here, quite good, as everyone is battling the silver car. It gets to the inside of a 3 wide, gets it right. Got a little bit too much on the grass, is a little bit sluggish off the corner. I think it realises there's so many vehicles on the outside, and they just all get together and it's jump the Porsche. And then I think it gets booped by a Jaguar and gets speared off the circuit regardless. So, the Jag gets speared off the track as well. It all went a little bit wrong, really, in that corner. C Infinity on Rfactor 2 with some pit lane shenanigans. So, the dive into... I'm not actually sure what's the player car and what's not, but the AI have made a mess of the pit lane. I think the Porsche is the player car here. And there is an LMP or something car that's got stuck in the pit lane, and now everything's stuck because no one knows how to deal with it. The AIs don't quite know how to deal with it. There's a Civic stuck. It's a curious selection of cars. Like it's like a test session. Regardless, there's an AI very much wedged the wrong way in the pit lane. The Civic behind us, the camera, closest to the camera, is confused with what to do. Some cars have figured it out, thankfully, in all of this, but pit lanes are difficult for the AIs. They've proved many times before, as the LMP is likely bumping a wall in all of this. Yeah, you're not gonna. It's not. You need to reverse further and use a bit more steering lock. It's not really working. The Civic has very slowly figured out how to get around the Porsche as well. And finally, we're on to NASCAR Racing 2003. I mean, the crashes are always spectacular on this one. So it goes wrong, and it's a small crash for this group, but it's the next group that turns up that just doesn't slow down. And everything is all over the place. You don't get small crashes on this game very often, and just cars spinning around, flipping around, upside down, skidding along the road on their roof. Yep, that's a big wreck, because that group just didn't slow down. They tried to go sort of lower to avoid it, but no one tried to slow down in any of that. So that's a lot of very broken, very, very broken cars. Something, well, it crosses the line on its roof. Something. I don't know what lap number they're on. Oh, it never. NASCAR 2003 never failed to have something wacky and crazy go on. But that is going to be it for this episode. As ever, if you have clips you'd like to submit to this series, you can via a Google form. There'll be a link to that in the description. All the rules and how it works can be found on there. But that shall be it from me. Thank you all very much for watching, and until next time, a goodbye.